How's it going, crypto community? This is Jade. You're now listening to the Martian Report. If you're new to my channel, please be sure to smash that sub, especially if you appreciate XRP related content. I also do content like what you're about to listen to, which is where we listen to an extremely successful individual, in this case Jeff Bezos, talk about his plan, and then I want to use his vision at that point and relate it to cryptocurrency and what we're seeing right now in the space, right? So, without any further ado, let's jump straight into this.
Given the decades of wisdom that has built up in the business world, investors, it sounds like you're saying, are making a big speculative bet if they're investing in your company's stock.
Well, I think all internet companies, the stocks are incredibly volatile, and
But even long term.
Long term, I believe that it's very easy to predict that there are going to be lots of successful companies born of the internet. They're going to have very large market caps and so on. I also believe that today, where we sit, it's very hard to predict who those companies are going to be. So you can make bets on these things, and I think that Amazon.com, if we're not one of those important, lasting companies born of the internet, we will have nobody to blame but ourselves, and that we will be extremely disappointed in ourselves. But there are no guarantees. It's very, very hard to predict. If you go back and look at the companies created by the PC revolution, in 1980, you probably wouldn't have predicted the 5 winners, the 5 biggest winners. There have been lots of winners, actually. So this space is a little different, and brand name may mean more, and there's some increasing returns kinds of things may mean more. But I believe that if you can focus obsessively enough on customer experience, selection, ease of use, low prices, more information to make purchase decisions with, if you can give customers all that, plus great customer service, and with our toys and electronics, we have a 30-day return policy. If you can do all of that, then I think you have a good chance, and that's what we're trying to do.
You're not really a pure internet.
So, there you go. What is your takeaway from this as a digital asset cryptocurrency investor? Look for a man like Jeff Bezos in this industry. Pardon me. Somebody who is looking ahead, not focusing on 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, but years from now. Look for a team that knows who they're going after, who their customers are, and make sure that they're being well received by their customers, and that their customers or potential customers, people who have tested their product, are positive towards the company, even despite potentially there being some FUD articles involving them. They still operate closely, right? Those are always the interesting ones. But nonetheless, the idea is look for companies that are doing stuff, good stuff, making advancements in the space, and are finding adoption by the customers they seek adoption by. Pardon me, I have a frog in my throat.
Company anymore either, are you? I mean, you've got millions of square feet now of real estate. You've got a huge and growing inventory of items that you keep in stock.
We do whatever.
And you've got thousands and thousands of employees now.
Yeah, we have over 3,000 employees and over 4 million square feet of distribution center space. And those are things I'm very, very proud of, because with that distribution center space and half a dozen distribution centers around the country, it allows us to get product close to customers so that we can ship it to customers in a very timely way, which improves customer service levels. That's what we're about. If there's one thing Amazon.com is about, it's obsessive attention to the customer experience, end to end. And that's what those distribution centers are.
But you're not a pure internet play.
It doesn't matter to me whether we're a pure internet play. What matters to me is do we provide the best customer service. Internet, schminternet, that doesn't matter.
Well, but it does matter to your investors to know whether they're investing in
blockchain doesn't matter. Interoperability matters. The ability to integrate all these networks together is what matters. Sorry, I just wanted to like paraphrase David Schwartz there, because like they're so much alike, aren't they? In so many ways. It's a good thing that he's working for Ripple. I don't know. Does anybody else get the kind of vibes from anybody else in the crypto space as far as like how on top of things they are when it comes to like knowing, not just like understanding the basics of like the, not just understanding the coding framework, but also the political social frameworks on top of these things, and also having such an amazing team around him for the other aspects which he's not strong at, right? Like, but look at like just him as an individual. He's oozes with something unique and powerful, right? You can sense it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I sense the same thing from Bezos, you know. And I think everybody does at this point just because he's, you know, the richest man on earth. But in this, he's oozing that same kind of energy that David Schwartz uses. That's just my opinion.
In a company that
No, they should be investing in a company that obsesses over customer experience. In the long term, there is never any misalignment between customer interests and shareholder interests.
Well, that's the same argument that somebody at Walmart would make as well, wouldn't they?
I don't see why not. I think they should make that argument.
So
It's a correct argument.
okay, so you'll open as many square feet of space, physical space, as you have to, hire as many employees as you have to
service customers, absolutely. And we'll do it as rapidly as we can.
That's a very cost-intense proposition.
Not compared to opening an equivalent network of retail stores. So if you open a bunch of chain stores, look, when we open a distribution center, we're opening places that may have, where we may pay 30 cents a square foot for a lease, instead of paying $7 a square foot, which you might pay in a high-traffic retail area. So when you compare those things, they're not the same. You can't compare a big chain of retail stores to half a dozen distribution centers. It's just not, it's bad math.
Do you want to know what else is bad math? A blockchain that only does 7 transactions per second versus another one that does... How many does XRP do now? I really don't know. I've seen so many crazy numbers lately, I don't know. I don't know what's XRP and what's Cobalt anymore either for the transactions per second that we've been hearing about. So I just know that it's over 2,000. I think it's over 10,000. I'd even believe some of the ones that I've seen that it's saying it's over 20,000 now, which is more than Visa, because I've seen that. I saw that one a long time ago, and I've seen talks of that recently, I believe, like last month. So, what else do we have aside from transactions? Oh yeah, our network doesn't cost a stupid amount because it requires some ridiculous method of proof of work, which is both terrible for the environment and also not a very good method, as it turns out, in practice for decentralizing use. Pardon me. So, Jeff Bezos just listed all the reasons why he sees his company doing great in the future, regardless of what's to come, because he's paying attention to his customers, which, I can relate to even right now, because, like, my biggest concern is really doing wrong by any of you who are my regular viewers, especially those of you who are this far in a video, because regular viewer retention rate, most people don't make it this far. I know that 8 minutes is the usual drop-off, but I still like to make the longer videos because I know that there are people out there, much like myself, who enjoy a more deep dive kind of thing, similar to what this is at this point, right? So, congratulations, first off, and also thank you for tuning in this long. But yeah, the idea is that these groups such as Amazon and Ripple are developing these things. Jeff Bezos and David Schwartz and the team at Amazon and the team at Ripple are developing these services, the XRP ledger ecosystem, which they have, overseen the greater development of, and are now bringing it to the banks, which we're now getting hate because we're talking about years in the future, right? Yeah, admittedly, nobody knows if XRP or Bitcoin or who knows what other coin might rise up to become the best new thing, right? Nobody really knows. But the best we can do is do our research, look for evidence of real world adoption, because it's really hard for big, powerful people to hide their presence in what they're doing. And at this point, most of them are just open about it because it's too hard to hide. It's too expensive to try and hide at this point. And there's not really a lot of time left, as if anybody left at this point watches mainstream media, the meltdown is occurring. It's insanity. So, anyways, off of that and back to what Jeff's going back and forth here. What's his next point? Let's hear his tongue-tied. Let us hear what Jeff's next point is.
Okay. Either way, whichever side of the argument you believe, you're making what seems to me to be...
There's only one side, which is obsess over customers.
But it seems to me that both with the speed of your growth in terms of the number of stores online that you're opening, the different businesses you're getting into, the number of distribution centers you're opening and new employees you're hiring, that you are making an intense gamble here, which is twofold. One, that you can run this number of businesses, different businesses, well, and two, that you can make money by selling vast volumes of product at essentially razor-thin profit margins.
I think that the first one in particular I agree with wholeheartedly, which is that there's no guarantee that Amazon.com can be a successful company. What we're trying to do is very complicated. There's huge execution risk involved. We have a terribly complicated business. We're growing, historically very rapidly. We're opening new product categories. We're expanding in new geographies. We have whole new business models with things like auctions. Now, we think this is the less risky of the two approaches because scale is important in this business, and you need scale also to offer the lowest prices and the best customer service to people. So scale is important to us, and we're going to go after that kind of scale. But it does mean that the executional challenges are huge. And so you'll find a bunch of people back in Seattle and around the world working very hard to make sure we service customers at the level that they're used to, and then even improving that.
Isn't it, to some extent, a certain...
So again, he's talking about the fact that, going again back to Ripple in this case, the fact that there are these extremely complex systems at play, especially in the traditional system. And because this new technology being utilized to create a new hybrid system that integrates the old system with the new system, similar to what Amazon did. It integrated the old goods distribution system of supermarkets like Walmart to online stores that, it's at my door, right? That's why malls are closing around the country, around the world, because everybody's just going to Amazon instead now. And so, competition. Everybody's being weeded out. Only the best survive.
Certain amount of, with all due respect, corporate arrogance to assume that you can come into these businesses which you have no experience in and virtually overnight enter a huge variety of different businesses and become the best in those businesses and the market leader in those businesses and execute those well, when there are other companies that have been running these types of businesses for decades, if not more.
I don't think so. So when we first started selling books 4 years ago, everybody said, look, you're just computer guys, you don't know anything about selling books. And that was true, but we really cared about customers, and now we know a lot about books. And when we first started selling music, people said the same thing, but we hired the right people. So we don't do this in a vacuum. We go out and hire the best industry experts in each of these categories. That's the same with toys and electronics. So, you know, we take this very seriously. We take the commitment to the customer very seriously, and we're not about to release something or announce something before it's ready.
And there you go. The man that started a company that at that time wasn't even worth $30 billion, but is now worth over $1 trillion. Granted, that's nearly 2 decades later, but digital assets have been around for a decade now. The internet had been around in use in mass for only about 5 years in the US at this point. I don't know what it was like for everybody else, but 1995 is about the time that most people were using it at home and not just, you know, at school or at a library. So, what's the big takeaway? Look at the big picture. Pay attention to who's scaling, who's not. Pay attention to who's stuck in their old ways and who's coming at this with an open mind to try and just grow as customer-friendly ecosystem as possible, as affordable and efficient ecosystem as possible, right? Because that's how you make it good for a customer, is you make it affordable and efficient. So, with that, I hope you now have found some greater degree of confidence in how to determine whether you're investing in something good or something bad. I don't know. I felt that this particular clip was powerful enough to obviously share with all of you and relate it back to XRP because I felt a powerful connection, like I said, to David and Jeff here, and the fact that they kind of ooze the same energy. Especially how Jeff was so hyper fixated back then. It was so much more visible in him, in the way he engaged back then, that this was something that like he was like just on top of. He was the best at it back then, and that's how it really feels when you listen to David Schwartz talk about blockchain. It really feels like he really is the one who is actually on top of this more than probably anybody else. And that's after having listened to all the big people. You know, I've listened to Vitalik, I've listened to Craig, I've listened to Andreas Antonopoulos, you know, I've listened to everybody, it feels like, you know. But the people at Ripple, they're the ones that are talking the most sense to me. But that's just my opinion. I am not an investment advisor. Instead, I refer to great individuals like Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, and many, many, many other greatly successful individuals who have found success through either their own actions in developing a business or through the investment in other people and how they found those people. Those are stories that I find deeply inspiring and deeply informative in helping me figure out how to best invest my earnings from my life, right? What do I do with this money that I make to hopefully someday live a life better than it is at present, right? I think that's the hope most humans share. And so, not that I'm claiming to not be a Martian here, but, you know, being Jade the XRP Martian, I hope that you have actually enjoyed this video. And if you haven't already, why haven't you hit that subscribe button yet? And be sure to hit that like too. And since you're also gotten this far, if you haven't already, why have you not? Ring that bell. That way you can stay up to date with all my newest videos. I really appreciate all of you, especially those of you who make it to the end of this video. You're the best. Seriously, every last one of you who's at the end of this, you are the best people. thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for giving me so much of your time. I don't know why you find me so engaging, but I do appreciate it. So thank you. And as always, I will see all of you in my next video on Mars.